Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for tuning in today. As promised, today we're going to start the first session of educating finances based on what the knowledge I had come across, and I'm going to talk about it. So let's dive into to try to understand how it works. And then we take step by step to see what is my understanding, what can you learn from it, and maybe your experiences also can be shared for us and for everyone around us to understand and you know get benefit out of it. Now let's dive into it. Now, what it has to do with the invest time and gains, returns, and returns. Now, just to give you two examples, investment is is a seed which you are putting in a soil. Now, you can talk about either you take it as in a farming. Now, when you see each and every crop, you need to invest. The farmer needs to invest in that particular crop, and something has to get into the soil, and then he has to do all the necessary preparations and continue doing it whatever the time frame which is having 3 months, 6 months to 9 months, whether it's a rice, wheat, barley, xyz, whatever the crops we're talking about. And so everything has its certain time. So many crops are depend on rain, and some you can artificially provide water resources by the bore wells, etc., etc. So those are the preparations. So the investment is something that you already decided. Okay, this is a crop, I'm going to do it, and this is how I need to prepare, and this is how it's going to take, and this is the process. You take out the weeds, etc. So this is so much a process which goes to you, the food you're eating and food I'm eating it. And then of course we pay end of the day, go and just buy a bag of 25 kgs of wheat or rice, or you just buy a 5 kgs of wheat packet. So you pay and you get it, but then there's so much goes behind that, so that we need to understand. So what it has to do with your investment. So investment on anything, whether it's a finances, it's your business, or it's your time, it's your any of such, for the things you're expecting in the near future, in terms of results, in terms of returns, in terms of profits and gains, are directly correlated on whatever you are investing today. So that is about investing. Now let's move into the time. So the investment require time. There's a time frame. There's a wonderful quote which had given by Mr. Warren Buffett, that nowadays we want a baby in a month with 9 different women, and that's not how it works. And then I'll come back to those when I get into the little deeper into the investment strategies and what can we learn from it. So basically we need to have a certain time. For each and every crop has a certain time. For each and every investment what you do need to grow needs a certain time. Now when we talking about that, what is the time frame which you're giving for yourself to grow is most important thing. Now when you finish your education, it's not that right after the child is born and then in less than a year or two when he is graduated. It takes time. The education for a normal person, any in a standard setup what we have is it requires anywhere between 18 to 20 years is the person to be graduate or postgraduate, depends on which of the stream you are taking in. So it requires time. It's not that right after 10 he was graduated or postgraduate. So each and everything has certain time. But then when it comes to the investments, or when it comes to the results or reasons for any job you start, for you to see getting promotions and a next level while you're doing whatever you're doing good, requires time. So the timing is very important. If you do investment on whichever the area, and if you have enough time to work, and the results will always show up, gains, results, and returns. So that's the basic funda that I want you to understand. You need to invest on whichever the thing you're looking at it, and then let it grow with the time, and the results will always come up. So it's not as easy as it's said and done. The many investments fails, including some of the mistakes I made, that I didn't work on a time because I wanted results quick, fast, So you're taking steps here, one step in here, one step there, and then taking out funds so easily, just to look at the little bit of margin. So those are the things that I'll come back. So invest time, then based on how much patience you have, you get gains, results, and returns. Now, why do we need to invest first place? That is something that we need to understand. So now let's get into why do we need to invest. Now, say for example, you need to understand whichever the position you are in, wherever you're standing today on your feet. I want you to think, what is your current monthly expenses for yourself? Now, suppose if you're at the age of 20, probably you're staying with your parents, or if you're on your own, whatever it is. Now, what is your food expenses? What is your accommodation expenses if you're living in a different cities? What is your travel expenses? What is your pretty much living expenses on how you live? And then what is your other extracurricular activities, whatever you may be going through? So what is your current present expenses? If you're a bachelor, what's your amount? If you're a family person with a kid or 2 or 3, or if you're a combined family, whatever it could be, just take a pen and paper and analyze what is your current expenses. That is the first thing that you should do. Now, say for example, you come across, say each month, say 10,000 rupees, just for an argument's sake. Okay, now in that way, you require just to take in that 10,000, you stick to it. I'm not talking about the emergencies which might pop up for you in a different situations. That's how life holds up. But then in a year's time, you need, at the rate of 10,000 rupees, you need 1,20,000 rupees. Now, if you convert that into the 10 years, so you know the number, whatever it is coming up. So 10,000 into pretty much 1 year, that's what you require. And then for 10 years, and that's your pretty much expenses, what you're buying for your living or family living, etc. Now, the second point you need to ask yourself is what is your source of income? How are you spending this 10,000, or what is your source of income? Now, you might be making, say, 50,000 rupees a month, or maybe 40,000 rupees a month, or 5,000 rupees a month, and you're into a depths of using credit cards and taking loans, etc., etc. So all this is directly correlated to what is your expenses and what is your revenue or the income where you're creating it. Now, my point I want you to understand why you need to invest is that, say for example, your salary is 20,000 rupees, just for an argument's sake. Now, for 12 months, you make double this up, 2,40,000 rupees is what you're going to make, but still you're on a safer side. Let's talk about, we're referring to just a bachelor. I mean, I don't think that, the families can survive with that money, by the way. Okay, so 2,40,000 into 10 years. Say you're in a very secure job. What does it mean secure to you? Now, one thing for sure, if you leave 10 years from the time we are talking about, expenses are going to come. That's not going to stop. I'm not talking about the inflation subject. I'll get into in a coming videos. So this 10,000 per month is guaranteed your expenses. 1,20,000 is guaranteed for a year. For 10 years, into 1,20,000 into 10 years, whatever the amount it is coming, guaranteed. So this will never change. I'm not talking about the inflation. These expenses you already see for yourself. Now, second important thing, that if you are in a private firm, if you're in a government job. Now, how certain are you that you're going to work for another 10 years with the same salary? I'm not talking about again any increments, proposals, your promotions you might be going through in those 10 years. Let's talk about exactly what your stage and you're talking about for 10 years. So life is very uncertain, and all of us know, and the many things comes in our daily lives, a monthly, yearly. So thinking 10 years you're going to be in a, working, many things can come in between. Probably the company where you're working go bankrupt, then you will be laid off. Or it could be that you might have certain challenges that you may not go to work for whatever the reasons. So expenses are for sure is certain, but then whatever you make is, perhaps you might do excellent, you know but then let's think about the worst case scenarios, that this job or the revenue what you're making, unless you're a businessman. Again, if you're a businessman, you have to continually exploring the opportunity to be the competition for you to see yourself growing. Now if you're working, and this is very uncertain, that numbers, okay, now the competition is going rapid high, and then people, what the skills what you have, in 4 or 5 years down the line, there is a new generation coming with the new skills, new ideas. Unless until you don't keep up your pace with the changing technology and trends, there's people can do the same work what you're doing less than half a salary with the new generation. So that's how the society is moving forward, so which you need to understand. Now where the investing part comes. Now for example, this is what you need to understand, that this is for sure that you are going to have for another 10 years. This is very uncertain, that you might have it, you might not have it, or maybe you get promotions, you keep growing up. But then when I said about in a first phase that it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And what do you do by keeping that extra 10% or 20%? And that's where the investment gets into it. And I would like to take that in the next video. Anyways, with that note, I would like to leave it today. Just reflect your thoughts on in this time and your results. I'll be coming back tomorrow with the next video of the similar part. Stay tuned, stay blessed, and explore your options with investment. Be good to good influence people around you. Thank you.